All right, we're live. What are you giggling about?
You have a sickness, brother.
What, the stomach gurgle?
Yeah.
What happened right there?
Right into the mic.
Wasn't into the mic? My stomach's nowhere near. Is nowhere near the microphone.
It didn't come out of your stomach. It came out of probably your nose or your ears.
It did not.
That
It came
one
out
traveled.
of. It came. Well, yeah, it traveled a little bit. What is this that you wrote down in the notes?
Have you been tracking this Hurricane Milton thing in Tampa?
Yeah, and all the loons that are sticking around and
there's
not
a lot.
leaving.
There's a lot of insidious things, and I'm just gonna get ahead of this and say that the official stance of Hack City is that we hope everyone stays safe.
And everyone leaves.
And everyone
leaves.
And
everyone gets out of there.
Everyone makes the best decision for themselves, and we hope that nobody is harmed in the hurricane. It's a Category 5. It's nuts. I've been tracking it all day.
When is it? When does it hit?
I think it's supposed to hit tonight. The tornadoes were hitting at like 4 o'clock, I think. That were just a precursor to the major hurricane. But the content creators in Tampa are somewhat evil, I'd say. Some saying, "Stay live. I'm in my apartment. I'll be tracking all these streets flooded, and I'll show you all the cars that are floating down them." Like that. That's a little bit insidious, but that's their thing. You know, they got a hurricane rolling through. They're trying to make something happen. I don't know, being a jackass. But there was one character from the whole Tampa Bay saga, and it's, I guess, a local guy that people call Lieutenant Dan, named after the Forrest Gump figure. He's got one leg and he's sitting on a 20-foot sailboat in a bay in Tampa Bay, and his stance has been, "I'm not leaving my boat. It's going to rise, and my boat's going to be fine." And there's this kid that's documenting all the saga and all this. And now I'm seeing ladies post TikToks of this Lieutenant Dan fellow is having 4 different identities, and that he's a grifter, and there's a GoFundMe started. And I don't trust the GoFundMe stuff because people make fake GoFundMes just to get some extra dough. There's a lot going on with Lieutenant Dan, the one-legged seaman, sitting on his sailboat in a Category 5. Dumb decision. Exploiting that worse because everyone in their lives, I think, has a Lieutenant Dan. Somebody from the older generation that has a brash sense of self. I've got one. It's Mr. Bobby. Mr. Bobby has lived on a lake for his entire life and doesn't know how to swim. Mr. Bobby sits on his dock, catches catfish, skins them, and eats them every night. Just people from a generation that are not plugged into the internet. And at some point, you kind of have to reward their bravery and their balls to say, "I don't care what category this hurricane is. I'm going to sit on my boat. And I was born here and I'll die here." No one's hoping he dies there. But
I mean, he's going to die there if you're still trying to sit there. There's some people have there's some networks have put out some like projections and some animations of like, "Hey, this is what this is going to look like on ground level." And it's like, "Oh, hey, here is an insurmountable amount of water that you're not going to be able to get through." Yeah,
It's a ridiculous decision. Lieutenant Dan, don't listen to the hype. Just because you have some 18-year-old waving an iPhone in your face doesn't mean you're going to be famous in 3 months if you live. It's going to be a short-lived internet situation.
I would imagine that's not his logic. I would imagine his logic is just he thinks he's going to be fine and he doesn't have anywhere to go, so he doesn't feel like going anywhere.
He already had to untie one of his boat lines because he was pressing up against a pier wall. It's a bad start for Lieutenant Dan. I'll keep tracking it as long as
I don't think there's going to be anything to track.
It's a mess. If he thinks that his boat is just going to rise up with the rest of the water, then so be it. Hopefully he sticks it out.
We're not here to track that one guy. Again, anyone who's in Florida, stay safe. We're praying for everyone to get through that situation. Hopefully the storm is passable. Ends up dying down a little bit. Tends to happen sometimes, but we don't know exactly what will happen with that. But so praying for those people. But today we're here to give our best bets. We're here to talk a little bit about the future of college football, projected Super League plan that was put out there. All that coming up and more on today's show. Before we get to that, we're going to hit the break and hear from Bet Online.
And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for like probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say it
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack. When he gets
Welcome back to Hack City. I'm Joe DeLeone. With me is my co-host Sean Anderson, two former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. And today we are going to be doing our betting preview for week 6 of the NFL. I forgot what week it is. We're at the halfway point somewhat for some of these leagues, not for the NFL, but for college football. And also week 7 of college football. One of us is doing very well. One of us is horrible at this. And if you want to make some money by following my bets and avoiding Sean's, betting against Sean, where can they do that?
Bet online. Bet online's where they want to do it.
Say it with a little more energy.
Bet online is the betting platform that we work alongside with on this nice program. It's the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for everything football, everything baseball. Every MLB playoffs are insane. I'm going to give you, I can't even give out a lock. All right, here's a line that I don't mind is how I'm going to call it for these baseball playoffs. Detroit Tigers, the team of destiny, plus 109 on the money line tomorrow. I don't care about the spread. Just take Detroit, make it easy on yourself. Infinitely rootable team. They got a bunch of dudes. That Tarek Skubal's going to be the Cy Young winner. It's a fun team, all right? Just put your money down on them. Have a good time tomorrow. Think you know your stuff. Also, get in on the 200 grand mega contest. Pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prize and a share of $200K. When all the games are over, head on over to the BetOnline online casino, get in on a game of blackjack, poker, slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. BetOnline, the game starts here.
All right, speaking of betting, let's start things off by jumping on into college. Oh, what do you know? At one point, Sean was talking a lot of S. He had a nice, big, safe lead, and we chipped away. Team Joe over here and my supporters, my large group of supporters that Sean doesn't know about, we chipped away week by week by week. And the current standings, the way that they sit, 12-9, 3-0 last week, opposed to Sean 1-2, 11-10 on the season. Good for 57% on the year for me, 52% for Sean. Any thoughts before we get into the picks?
I'm happy that the show as a whole is in the green. That's my official
statement.
I am happy that the
statement.
show is in the green.
Talk some shit, you coward. I talked shit when I was down.
Because you're a jackass. And you had 0 for 3 weeks
You
and 1 for 2.
stink.
And you made big, stupid decisions. And it's going to happen again.
You got lucky.
I'm waiting.
You got lucky at the beginning of
Icarus,
the year, and it all
Icarus,
caught up to you.
Keep on shaping those big wax wings. I'm sure you won't fly into the sun
I
head
have been
on.
as consistent as I since week 1. No, since week
It took
2
you
of the
5 weeks to get over 500. And you had 2 miracle back-to-back 3-0 weeks.
Cry about it?
I'm not crying about it.
Cry
I'm
about
not
it?
coping. There's no F
Hope?
in the chat. I'm not touching grass, okay? I'm
Sounds
just
like you
making a
need to.
statement. You be careful with all that privilege you got after a 3-0 week.
I also I do a weekly spot on, and the picks I use on here are the same spots that I use on VSiN on my good friend Joe Serralo's show. I think it's called Cashing Out. Super original name. I am 17-5 on that show, and I didn't start doing my picks on his show until week 3, which is when the hot streak started over here.
I'm sure you'd get a lot of money line picks. You're not going against the spread on that
all
show.
against the spread. All against the spread. You think I'm just coming in here betting on that? Actually would be kind of a based move if I showed up and I'm just like, hey, here's me. I'm taking Alabama money line versus Wisconsin.
Sure. Yeah, you know what? If you want to do that, you do that. Minus 4,000 odds.
Right. That's actually, no one ever says you can't do that.
Well, the strategy.
I don't think you'd have a lot of. Don't bring up the stratagem. The stratagem died on the vine, and then I tried to resurrect it. I tried to resurrect it, and it died even quicker the first time.
What was the second resurrection?
I took the 49ers to win the money line versus the Cardinals. So we're taking a break from the.
I'm sure you're real high on Purdy now, aren't you?
Yep. I hope Purdy. No, I'm not going to say it. I hate Brock Purdy. I don't like Brock Purdy. I've never liked Brock Purdy. I think he's so
now
overrated.
Now you're lying.
When have I ever liked him?
You were big on Purdy.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
There's a video on this channel that gets commented on once a month of me saying, bench Brock Purdy, start Trey Lance. I'm a moron. All right. People are not here to hear us yell about that. They're here for our college picks. Again, quick recap. 57% on the year for me, 52% on the year for Sean. I'm going to start us off here. I am taking Vanderbilt plus 13.5 versus Kentucky. This has to be one of the most surprising lines that I've seen there's no major injuries or anything that I might be missing here that would constitute Kentucky being this big of a favorite. Almost 2 touchdowns. This is insane. It's ridiculous. I don't need a circumstance here where this is like 3 points or it's even 7 points. If you're telling me against one of the worst offenses in the SEC for Kentucky, all Vanderbilt needs to do is chip away and play a good, strong, fundamentally sound game, which they've done all year except against Georgia State, where they played like crap. I think that they 1000% can cover. This is my lock of the week. This feels too easy. There's got to be something I don't know. Way too high on Kentucky. Kentucky blows. They're not very good. So again, give me Vandy plus 13.5.
I think Vegas has seen their fair share of hangovers and know what one might look like. So I am going, and you gave me the
That's
big
a hack-ass
you gave
thing
me
to
that
say.
same hangover speech not 2 weeks ago. Regardless, this is a
You
drunk
can't,
ass
wait,
line.
you can't be.
You got the Vandy quarterback doing media spots for the first time ever. You don't think that's going to make some type of impact on game day?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I like this line anyways. Kentucky's okay. Vandy shocked the world last week. I don't loathe it. My first bet here, Alabama given 21 versus South Carolina.
We need to go back and check what your success rate is of taking lines that are over 20. I need to know, because I think you're over.
I am not over, but here's my statement. Alabama just got embarrassed nationally.
I don't
Maybe
disagree
the
with this.
biggest college football upset in the last, since Notre Dame and IU. So look,
F off.
they're going to be ready to go. This entire program doesn't want to have Saban looming over them. DeBoer doesn't want that to happen, thinking, this would never happen under Saban. This couldn't possibly happen under Saban. Well, what would Saban do if they put in an embarrassing performance, Joe? Would he kick them in their asses, or would he say, okay, guys, let's just get over that and we're going to go back to protocol?
Look, your analysis is spot on. It's what you must have been listening to Ruffino and Joe show this week. It's what I talked about. It also helps that the South Carolina offensive line is abysmal. It's literally statistically the worst in the country. So you had a bad game with your front seven last week. This is the get right week. We saw Ole Miss literally do this the week prior. But because this is a 21-point spread, I hate if anything is over 17 unless it's against a Power 5 and a G5 opponent. It's just a bit risky. I don't hate this, but I would not personally take it.
That's interesting. You becoming a Lenora Sellers truther right now.
Oh, shut up. Shut
Joe
up.
Beamer Ball DeLeone rolling with the Gamecocks.
Shut the hell up. Stop it. My next one that I'm taking Ohio State -3 versus Oregon. I understand that this is on the road. I understand that this is at Autzen. Having time, and I did a deep dive multiple times this week on Oregon film, on Ohio State film. I think that, one, the skill players for Ohio State are playing at such a high level that I have confidence in them to put points up on the board and them to finish and sustain a number of drives. Number two, not enough people over the past couple of weeks, because Oregon has won pretty handedly, are talking about the erratic nature in the way in which that Oregon's offense is operating. You put on the film, and they're all over the place. Dylan Gabriel is throwing into really just terrible spots, leading to turnovers, incompletions. They're not going to be able to run the ball with Jordan James. The interior of their offensive line is weak, going up against one of the best interior D-line groups in the country. Tyleik Williams is a monster. He is eating dudes for lunch, and he's not even playing that much because they're rotating so many guys. I have a ton of faith in Ohio State to win, and I think if they do win this game, that they can separate and they can win by 7, maybe even more.
It's kind of disrespectful to Ohio State that this line is only 3. I know it's on the road, but
I think
Oregon's put on some faltering
Yeah.
performances so far. Ohio State has played cupcakes, but they
a
beat
lot of
the life
experts
out
are
of the
picking
cupcakes.
Oregon. There's a lot of college football experts right now that are taking Oregon.
I don't like that. I do not. The money is not strong or confident on Oregon this week. Don't love it. Can't hate your pick there. It's not terrible. My next pick, Ole Miss given 3 versus LSU at LSU. I am excited to watch this game. Lane wants to put his amnesia spell on all of college football with a big win against LSU. Why? Because it's what he always does. He does some dummy shit, and then he makes up for it with some dynamic offense and hard defenses and a well-coached team. And they just like to take a week off here and there. But if we're going right down to the matchups, coaching matchup, Lane Kiffin, Brian Kelly, Lane Kiffin gets that edge for me. Quarterback matchup, Jackson Dart, Garrett Nussmeier, Jackson Dart gets that edge for me. Let's go overall defense. Who's got a better defense here? Ole Miss over LSU. LSU has looked shoddy. They haven't impressed me at all this year. All the hype, all the rigmarole that LSU was supposed to have, it's not. Oh, that's a deep pull. I'll explain it to you after.
Okay.
Regardless, Ole Miss clearing this 3. I know they had a crazy game. It was either last year or 2 years ago, the 52-49 one. I'm not worried about it at all. I think Ole Miss is a class above LSU this season.
A lot of that analysis is what I had this week on Rufino and Joe. It's also a pick that it wasn't one of my picks this week on VSiN, but Joe asked me, like, if you had a pick on this game, what would it be? I said Ole Miss, and I actually already placed a bet on this. But I'm not in super love with it because I think just because it's at home at LSU, weird, wonky shit happens in Death Valley.
You think they're going to play neck? New slant.
You can't downplay it. No, don't downplay that. They will get pissed at you if you imply that is not a hard place to play.
Oh, we're gonna go to Fred's and get drunk and wake up an hour before kickoff, and then.
How do you know the bars?
What do you mean? I'm a ball knower, brother.
I think you're a bar knower. I don't think you know much ball.
Bar knower is correct.
All right, my last pick. I am taking UCF -3.5 versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati is dog-ass. They are garbo. And I think that UCF, this is a buy low situation for them. I think that there's an assumption that UCF isn't very good because of the way that they played over the last 2 weeks. I called out and said that Florida was going to win money line against UCF last week. That was one of my picks on the show. Because they did not have the bodies, UCF did not have the bodies to go up against an SEC team that their offensive and defensive lines were their strong suits. That's just a tough matchup that they were not built to win. And the week before that, they were dealing with a freaking hurricane. Hurricane prep is no nothing to sneeze at. I don't know how significant it was, but I brought this up to Joe that, do you remember it was a hurricane and then it got like downgraded to a tropical storm one year when we were at Rhode Island? Do you remember that?
The nor'easter?
It wasn't the nor'easter. It was a completely different week.
Oh.
It was a game week, and it was like we could barely practice. We were indoors.
Oh,
it was
yeah. I remember that week.
Total mess. So it is difficult to focus. The way that they played against Colorado is not indicative of who they are as a team. I think that this is the get-right moment, and they blow past a nothing Cincinnati team. Give me UCF.
Sure is difficult to focus. You're happier that week. Just practicing inside. Got my sneakers on. No knee braces. What?
Most classes are canceled. Yeah.
Oh, God. What a feeling. Yeah. The general listener will never know the euphoria of an indoors practice. Oh, so fun. My final pick, Notre Dame giving 24 to Stanford.
This is the worst
big
goddamn pick that I've ever heard.
I'm hoping maybe I could get a history lesson from you. You were giving me a rash of S earlier today about this pick. No.
Crack.
Me and the Notre Dame fans are lockstep, all right?
You're taking a loss for a bit. That's what you're doing right now.
No, it's not a bit. Stanford's not good. Notre Dame is surging. Notre Dame is ready to make a statement against Stanford. Okay? Silly statement for me to make right now. It should be implied that they could beat this team by 24, and I think that they will. Riley Leonard, let's take the top off some, like they've been doing a little more and more. We're out of that week 1 playbook. We're out of that week 2 playbook. Time to play with some balls, Fighting Irish. I think they do. Stanford's a rollover. I don't care about the history and the rivalry between like the number 1 academic school and the number 15 academic school.
Stop. You can't make that statement. I don't care about the historic rivalry. That it matters for this game. There have been years where Stanford's been terrible, Notre Dame's been brilliant, and the vice versa, and an upset has been pulled out. This is one of those very rare occurrences where the rivalry is 1,000% important to talk about. That line's way too big. Notre Dame had a really good game against Purdue. They're never going to replicate that.
No, we can do it again. We can do it again.
Stop saying we.
What do you
Stop
mean?
saying we.
I'm super fan this year.
You're
I
not.
am Notre Dame super
You're an
fan.
asshole. You're an asshole. Stop
What?
it. No, because you think it's funny, and then that's why you're placing this bet. I would like to quickly check what Notre Dame is.
They've made me money this year. Notre Dame has made me money in just about every game that they've played, except for the incident.
I can't believe that you think that they're capable of covering. And more importantly, Stanford has the 12th ranked run defense in the country. Notre Dame can't throw the ball.
Oh, yes, they can.
You think that they're just going to be like, oh, guys, we got to throw the ball more. We're suddenly going to figure it out this week? No.
Why are you gatekeeping this team? Why are you being a
I'm telling
Notre
you
Dame
not
fan?
to take them. You won't listen to me.
You can't say
I'm trying to save you money.
I'm trying to find a college football
You're
team
a piece
for me
of
to
garbage.
be a fan of.
No, you're losing in bets, and you're trying to get underneath my skin, and it's not going to work, and I'm going to downplay this. This is a dumbass pick.
Well, one of us is yelling and one of us isn't, so I don't know.
I'm going to be yelling at you when this doesn't hit.
You're working yourself into a shoot. All right? It's a good bet.
Moronic
Notre Dame,
pick.
great team. Stanford, not a great team.
Insanely moronic
easy.
pick. All right, let's move on over NFL. Time for our NFL best bets for week 6 of action. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? I was 3-0 last week again because I'm a savant. You sit there and you watch all these games and you're so locked in to watch all these games. I have a full 8-hour work shift and then a live show, and I'm peeping it from the side most of the time.
You're pushing that first number a little bit.
Shut up. I'm barely paying attention enough to know what's going on, but I guess it's the ball knower. I'm obviously kidding. I'm on skin. Regardless, 3-0 last week, 11-4 on the season, 73% on the year. Sean, on the other hand, was 2-1, 5-9-1 for a gross 33%. Any thoughts?
This is really where I'm frustrated.
You should be,
because the NFL is my absolute. That is what I get down with.
Clearly
that
not.
is what. No, it's not. Clearly not. I know the numbers don't reflect that, but these teams, you know what? It's my fault for knowing too much. All right. If you're in the pocket right now, you're observing with depth, but you're not all encompassed. Okay, there's difference. I am all encompassed, I expect more from these losers.
Don't downplay my involvement.
The professionals.
Don't downplay my involvement in overhype. Yours nice. You knocked yourself out of focus on the other. You're good now. I don't downplay my involvement. I would argue. I think you think that you know more than you actually do. I
would expect that the Seahawks don't lose to the piss poor Giants. That's what I think.
You didn't want to listen to me. I told you it's one of those games where the Giants don't need to win, and they have the one matchup benefit of their defense being really good and then suddenly playing the game of the year.
The Seahawks have an insane secondary, and they let the stupid, dumb-faced quarterback, Daniel Jones, throw for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Here's the biggest issue that's been killing you. You keep betting involving my teams that I know how they live and die.
I don't even associate you with the Giants anymore.
Screw you!
What do you mean, screw you? They mean not. You've said on the show that the Giants mean nothing to you.
Yeah, because they're bad, and I've accepted that they're bad, and I will only be excited about them when they get a new quarterback, which we're going to end up with Garrett Nussmeier. We're going to end up with. Great. We're going to end up with somebody just god-awful.
What if you want Dart? Your dark horse Heisman finalist.
Yeah, he's not going to win the Heisman. All right, let's jump into our picks. My first one, Bears -2 versus the Jaguars. I understand that the Bears' success last week, Keith, I'll make that face, came against the Panthers. But I think that, one, this Jaguars defense has been very leaky. It's been very problematic. And two, they have the benefit of last week. I'm not calling on this is the week that the Bears get right. No, the Bears got right last week. They're running the ball well. We praised them on the Monday show. I see an ability here for them to win by at least 3 points against the Jaguars. So give me Bears -2.
I don't like betting on two bad teams playing each other. The Bears are still bad. The Jaguars are horrendous. But the problem is the Jaguars and Tank Bigsby got it rolling last week, which is what all the pundits were waiting on. Hey, watch out for Tank Bigsby. Well, now I'm on notice. This is a awful matchup. I hope to not have to watch a minute of this game. But okay, if you roll with the Bears, we're just pissing in the wind there, and I don't like doing that. I like picking good teams versus bad teams, a la the Houston Texans giving 7 versus the New England Patriots. It's not a bad pick. Drake May first start behind that hideous offensive line? No, 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 sir. Houston has a ferocious defense. Houston gets after them boys that are taking the snaps. Houston has CJ Stroud, okay? Houston has Tank Dell, John Mechie. They have the tools. Patrick Starr said, we have the technology. New England is punted the year already. They're saying we're throwing our project in to save face and maybe get some jersey sales from the fans, and we're going to just let him get lit up for the next 12 weeks. Bad strategy. Don't like it. I like Houston thwomping them this week.
Reason why I don't like this pick, it is a circumstance of the unknown. I don't like a situation where a team is facing off with a quarterback that they can't prepare for. They don't know how they're going to use him. They're not going to use him the same way as Jacoby Brissett. Could Drake May go out there and crap his pants and throw for 3 picks and get completely dunked on? Yeah. The Texans apparently this year are one of the worst teams in terms of scrambling success allowed to quarterbacks. So Drake May is a great athlete. Maybe that's where they survive and he's able to keep this thing close, but it is what it is.
Who's he going to open up the field to? Jalen Polk? Papa
Jalen
Douglas?
Polk.
No.
I believe in Jalen Polk.
You shouldn't.
My next pick, Steelers -3 versus the Raiders. We know how bad and mediocre Aiden O'Connell is. He's not going to fix this offense. He's supposed to start this week. You kidding me? I 1,000% am going to take this. Steelers -3. That defense is going to eat alive what is a inept and incapable Raiders offense at the current moment. I know that there's a little bit of fear in what the Steelers are going to do on offense, but I think that they can perform well enough against just an overall shaky Raiders team. I think they cover -3.
2 more trash teams. Steelers sources are calling this trap game of the year. I'm going to believe them when they say that, and I will stay away from this one. Good luck, brother. My next pick, let's get after another young quarterback. Tampa Bay given 3.5 versus the New Orleans Saints.
Bad pick.
It's a good pick. Is Spencer Rattler stepping up for the Saints? The Saints looked they looked really solid against the Chiefs on Monday night. Oh wait, no, they pissed down their legs. It was an awful game.
Chiefs are a lot better than the
Chiefs,
Buccaneers.
Maybe if they had Rashee Rice, they're not that much better. All right, Tampa Bay is legit. Tampa Bay still has their offense. They're not dropping pieces. Starting quarterback Derek Carr isn't out for them. It is a simple lock. Tampa Bay will smoke New Orleans this week, and it's going to be them eventually surging past Atlanta in the NFC South in a couple weeks. But right now, they're just going to take care of what they need to against the Saints. It's an easy pick. It's a good pick.
These are just such beginner knowledge picks here. Just like, let's go with the rookie quarterback first start. Let's throw
rookie quarterbacks tend to struggle in this league.
The unknown. We don't know how he's going to do.
There's one that there's been 2 in the last 4 years that I think could cover a spread, and that's CJ Stroud and Jaden Daniels. What happened to the other 12 to 16? They blow dog.
Dong was the word you were looking for.
No, dog, as in dog dick.
That was a little graphic. What's
your next pick?
My last one.
Clutching your pearls,
There's no clutching pearls over here. I'm sitting pretty right now. You were going to need a ridiculous run to get back in swinging distance of me. Bengals -3.5 versus the Giants. Sunday Night Football. The Giants are horrendously bad in prime time, first of all. You kidding me? Daniel Jones past his bedtime. He's got to be up early for his JP Morgan internship in the morning. He's got to be ready to go on Monday morning. He's not going to be locked in for this game. He's going to be filling out spreadsheets and decks, preparing for this all on during the day on Sunday. He's got all that to worry about. In all seriousness, though, Bengals are struggling. This is the total get-right game. I know that there's a lot to ask for because this Giants defense is hitting its stride. But I think that if your defense is going to find its identity, it's going to be against a team that loves to turn the ball over. And it sounds like Malik Neighbors is not playing again. So I am going to take the Bengals. This is not a Seahawks circumstance where the Seahawks were overhyped. The Bengals are undervalued. Buy low on the Bengals to cover 3.5 versus the Giants.
Bengals are 1-4. I'm not out on them. I'm not punching the final destination ticket for them to be a non-playoff team this year. But the writing is on the wall, and they seem like a team that just can't get it done. And whatever, the Giants want to surge for 2 weeks in October. that's their prerogative. Staying away from this one also. Won't even come near it in my real life. My final pick here. Commanders getting 6.5 in the Battle of the Beltway versus the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore lauded defense. Very good. Oh, wait. I think Marlon Humphrey was walking around in a boot today. Oh, wait. The Commanders are a thriving enterprise getting, Joe, you know what they're actually getting? Hype. They're getting hype videos made for them. Have you ever seen one? No. Finally, this team has something to rally around, and that's the hero of Washington, D.C., Jaden Daniels. It took 5 weeks, and they're already legit. I don't think they come out of this game with a win, but they don't lose by a touchdown. Their pieces are there. The offense is clicking. Their defense just needs to just hold Derrick Henry to under 100 yards. I think that's genuinely possible with Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu, who played out of their gourds last week. I really like this Commanders underdog line. They don't have to travel a while. It's going to be a good one.
I don't hate this one too much. I don't know if I would take it, though.
Oh, God.
It gets the job done. All right, let's move on over. We're moving past bets. We're going to get to the Project Rudy situation that has emerged in the world of college football. This week, it was reported on. Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports was the first to report it, that there is now an executive group, a private equity group, that is trying to push and get funding, or not get funding, but get support for a 70-team Super League to take over college football. It would be a tiered system. There'd be 3 tiers. It would allow for a leveling, moving up and down based on success, very similar to Premier League soccer. It would eliminate the FBS playing G5 and FCS teams for more premier matchups. And as I mentioned, the relegation thing is going to be a part of it. Sean, admittedly, I'm a little bit conflicted with this, because I think that where every college football fan should be 1,000,000% disenfranchised with this possibility is that it takes away the tradition, it takes away the history of the sport and why we love it. The fact that we can turn on a game and there is a Northern Illinois upsetting a Notre Dame, that there is a ULM upsetting an Alabama, that those things are capably possible to happen in App State beating a Michigan. Things like that where a team can get upset on any given day. More importantly, the way that this sport is structured, those homecoming games against bad teams in your conference that you schedule are upfront opportunities to promote your school and to try and garner attention for it. The inverse of that, I love the idea of more competitive matchups. I love the idea of a Premier League style relegation system. I have talked about, there's a book. Where is it?
Oh, God.
No, it's not that one.
Okay. That one?
It's this book Greg Sankey read not that long ago, a few years ago. And I read this book because of a lot of people were talking about in the college football world and how a lot of people see the future of the sport. The Premier League changed from being this massive mess in England, where it's so eerily similar to college football, where there were just hundreds of teams. There was a tiering system, but it was not properly put together. And there was a governing body overseeing all of it that was not controlling any of it. The top teams broke away and took along some of the other top teams in the lower tiers, and they formed what is now the Premier League, and it is an extremely flourishing and successful entity. So where I come away from this being a little bit conflicted, I lean inside of keeping things as they are, but I would think with all the chaos and craziness that we have occurring at the current moment, to have some form of uniform model that has consequences and rewards for quality of performance, that this actually could be good for the sport.
The relegation standpoint should intrigue any sports fan. It's a really interesting concept, and at times it could be exciting, and we know that there's a lot of scenes every year from the possible relegations that happen from the Premier League levels that get a lot of people all riled up. What I don't like about this whole Project Rudy thing, I got 3 main topics. 1, Project Rudy. Awful name, terrible, despicable, bad movie, worst player. Second,
Okay.
the leads in this Smash Capital proposal, Evan Richter, Kevin Mayer, Tom Staggs, 2 of them formerly from Disney. And it's strictly a TV performance-based model, and it's letting TV continue to dictate the sport and put more athletes on cross-country flights because the ACC spans from California
hold on,
to the
hold
East
on.
Coast.
I would think that there would be an ability for this to re-regionalize the sport, because the result, I would argue that the stupid cross-country flight thing is the result of the current chaos and lack of just singular direction for the sport. I would hope that they wouldn't try to, that there would be some sort of east-west type.
Big matchups. What if Arizona is really good one year, and what if Rutgers is really good one year, and they decide, hey, we're gonna start a 4-4, and you guys are gonna stay in the top tier and have to play each other every single time. I don't see that being feasible. Additionally, I think that this bankrupts a lot of G5 and lower level football programs, because every time that you get a G5 versus a P4 game, you get an FCS versus G5, FCS versus P4 game, there's a check thrown in there because of the disparity of talent, because they're a team that you can come and warm up on. $1 million, $500,000, $2.1 million, all that goes reinvested right back into the football program, keeping them afloat. It's not pushing them into the green, it's keeping them afloat. If they don't have those funds every year, these football programs sink. Or you have to jack up the price of enrollments at these colleges, which is already exasperated to where now kids are paying $25,000 a year, maybe going up to $28,000, $30,000. That's a toll. The trickle effect of this new 70-team Super League, I think, does a lot of damage to the middle class of football, being the G5.
Well, I mean, I just don't think that, like,
if I was
that part's not even a part of the conversation, though, because like that stuff has.
Why would it be? We're focused on the big matchups in the Super League.
Yes, as much as I just brought up here that losing those G5 upsets and the possibility of them happening, taking away from the excitement and the randomness of the sport. And there's a lot of, like, there's a Wednesday game on right now that's Jacksonville State versus New Mexico State. It's an ugly, terrible matchup. I don't think many people are watching it except for us in the studio right now. I enjoy watching these games because there's a very unique element to it and anything can happen in them. But to that degree, like, I think that they would survive fine. Like, I look at the amount of FCS programs that stay afloat. I think it wouldn't hurt to lose a portion of the back end of the G5 and the FCS, admittedly, because there's a lot of programs like Mercyhurst and in like Marist that move up and have FCS programs and have no intention of ever being competitive.
Joe, do you remember what the year was when we had two FBS games? We had a G5 game versus UConn, and then we played Virginia Tech that year. Or we had two non-FCS games. We got chocolate milk that year. We had chocolate milk for weeks that year. Years that we had one, we didn't have.
You want to know why we had we got the chocolate milk as a pat on the head because they spent all the money on new computers and DV Sport for the coaching staff.
Well, then it's DV Sport. Upgrading from Huddle. It's a minor upgrade that these massive programs don't have to worry about. And I think anybody supporting this game that decides to start a franchise in NCAA 25 with a G5 team is a big fat hypocrite, because I'm someone that can look at this unbiasedly. I don't have a direct team that I'm rooting for that would be left in or out of this 70-team Super League. I'm not saying you're carrying any bias because Notre Dame would be included. I think you've actually done a good job tonight not doing that. But if I was a fan of San Jose State that's on the bubble, I'd be pissed thinking I'm getting left out into irrelevancy. And then maybe in 10 years, my program isn't there anymore.
Well,
because the TV contracts are dictating it. If it was a situation where toxic football and the decision makers there deemed it more appropriate to do this, and it wasn't due to the corporate greed of television, then I could come to grips with it. But it's because we're just trying to squeeze another cent out of that quarter until that eagle the phrase. That is what irritates me.
I don't know the phrase. What is the phrase?
You squeeze the quarter until the eagle shits.
Okay,
It's a term for being
phrase.
overly cheap and trying to get the most out of it. That is where it rubs me the wrong way. If we think that it's a way where we could have a stretch of 5 years for a G5 team that can be moved into the third league, the third bottom tier, and then they start getting the big payday, and Minnesota had 5, 2, and 10 years and they get booted down, how would that go? Would Minnesota go quietly because they sucked? Or would we actually reward the G5 team for performing well? It would be the former.
I just think that's actually it's just such a small byproduct of this whole thing, because frankly, there's really only like 10% of G5 programs that feel like they're actually trying. Like I think that there are a lot of teams out there that the schools just field a team so that they can get the TV check, and then they're happy to get the check from when they play the Power 4 opponent, because they would be diverting more resources to it if they did care, if they had the alumni base, if they did care. There are a lot of teams out there, and I hate to say this because I love the sport for that unique aspect that there's so many teams, but at the end of the day, I don't think this 1-4 New Mexico State team has any desire to be competitive. I really don't. And I'm not talking about from the players on the field or the coaches. I'm talking about the administration not giving a shit because all they care about is who enrolls in the school. But what's more important, and why the positive aspect of a plan like this, is that relegation system. Like, we look at the tension. I don't follow the Premier League, but if you listen to any of your idiot loud friends who wake up early as shit to go to the bar to watch these games that are just some of the biggest menaces to society, that they're so intently focused on it, there is so much created tension from the possibility of moving up and down. Apparently, part of the plan includes that relegation ability based on revenue. I think that should be eliminated. It should be 100% based on performance. Creating that tension incentivizes investment for the schools. What I like about it, and if there's a way to incorporate more than 70 schools in this, I like the thought of that we no longer have to watch a team like Wake Forest put in the bare minimum effort, a team like Virginia to put in a bare minimum effort. I'm trying to think who else stinks that are in other conferences. I mean, we can't say Vanderbilt anymore because of what they did this past weekend. Cincinnati, perfect example for how we've seen them play so far this year. I like the thought of them actually having to put an effort in if they want to stay relevant and if they want to be a part of the larger picture, instead of just taking the check and being happy with being in the big conference.
We just got to it. We're not even halfway to the first 12-team playoff in college football history, and now we're adding relegation on top. Yeah, Purdue, but Purdue's had fine teams in recent years. Fine, not great. Why are we jumping to at beck and call for these TV executives that have a cool idea? We haven't even seen how it shapes up. We have JMU and Boise State fighting for that 12 spot for the G5. There's some tension.
Those teams have no right playing in the playoff. They don't. They really don't. That's not tension. They're going to show up and they're going to get boat raced.
All right. Yeah. Keep on starting your franchise with G5 teams then. Why would
that
you
has
do
nothing
it?
to why?
Yeah, it does. Why
because
would
it's
you
a
root
fucking
for them?
video game. It's a video game. I'm playing a video game.
But why do you use them? Why at the heart of
because it's different and it's fun. But we don't want the different and the fun in the playoff. We live in the real world. Ashton GT is not going to win Boise State a playoff game. They're going to show up and they're going to get smoked by Georgia or by if they played Tennessee or if they played Alabama that didn't get a bye. They're going to get worked. They're lucky that they have Ashton Genty right now. JMU has actually put an investment in building their program. God forbid I want to actually see more competitive football.
It's been competitive this year. It's been really good football.
It has been, Sean.
More competitive, I'm sure. Ask more for your team then. All that shit schedule that you put together.
Okay,
give me a break.
It's the
give me a break. They were lucky to be there.
Style, just bringing
you
up
played in the FCS just like me. You didn't play at Alabama. What an attitude to have.
What are you talking about? It's not disgusting.
It's disgusting.
Why is it disgusting?
Why do you need the SEC has 5 good teams this year? Maybe these conferences aren't that good. You want to see Iowa State versus Kentucky? Because that's what you would get in the 70 team. You're crazy.
There's nothing crazy. I'm not saying that burn everything down. This has to be the plan.
That's what happens.
That's
what transpires.
I'm just pointing out the positive aspects of a plan like this. All right, but what bothers me is that you're taking the approach of like, yeah, let's pat everybody on the head and they can stay involved. It's a participation trophy.
It's college football.
Being involved.
It's college football. It's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. You're not in the NFL getting paid millions and millions and millions of dollars. These guys are going to class. They're going to
They're
classes,
getting paid millions
Joe.
of dollars now, and this is the bigger issue with all of this: is that there is no, and this is what the real main focus of this should be: is that there's no singular direction for the sport. The only way that you're going to get singular direction is getting as many teams on board that want to be a part of that singular direction. We need contracts that lock guys in for more than a year. They shouldn't be able to just hop in the portal and leave. You need a union for the players in order to be able to negotiate, which is going to be senseless and impossible to do because there's too many players out there that are in the country on all of these teams, all 133 of them. You need more uniform rulings and just overall flow for the sport that you can't get with the current model. You just can't.
Well, they bungled the current model for to the overlords of TV. We had a pretty good model going.
No,
we were
didn't.
already working towards a
didn't
12-team playoff.
We didn't have what the good model that we had was that
What,
guys
regional rivalries?
weren't getting paid at all.
They could have gotten paid, and we could have kept it how it was.
That was what opened this can of worms. NIL is what opened the can of worms. So to say that what we had before
I don't
was
think
great
it was
is
NIL.
ignored.
No, it was
TV.
It was TV, and I actually don't mind the transfer portal. I think it makes a lot of teams better, and we see better parity with it. I've actually enjoyed how the transfer portal has transpired. I think it gives guys, if you're in the G5, you can get paid. Go ahead, get paid then. I like that. You have some financial freedom, and you have a choice of where you can go. You're not locked in if that's up to you. No, it's directly TV influence is the problem with what's crushing college football. At least the traditional sense of college football.
Then turn off the TV and go to we just remove TV contracts. Like we have to. The TV networks have to make money. Like I don't understand like why that's like
I
such a
understand,
concern.
but it's bending the knee. It doesn't seem like there's any pushback to have kept the fine system to be fine. Commissioners bent the knee, Joe.
I disagree with that. I don't think that they bent the knee. They were incentivized to make changes. The poor direction by Klyavkov is what the biggest catalyst for all this.
He got them a good TV deal.
He didn't.
Who would have known that in 10 years,
No.
streaming would have gone bonkers?
He turned down the TV
I'm
deal.
talking about the initial one.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, he
He
didn't
had a fine
negotiate
one.
that one.
He
That was also deemed to be the biggest tension point for the previous commissioner, having agreed to that they all believed that they got fucked by the TV networks.
Joe, they couldn't leave well enough alone. All right? It was more and more and more and no sense of self with the Pac-12. And then TV pulled out of frustration. Fine, TV pulls out of frustration. But that's still TV dictating how the conference is shaped. Just so these massive institutions can get another $10 million a year. Keep putting slides in your facilities. We didn't have a turf field.
What do we have to do with this, though? The
I
University of
would
Rhode
expect
Island
you
would
to have
never be in this
some perspective.
conversation.
I would expect you to have some perspective.
Yeah, I
of
have
the
I have
schools.
enough perspective to know that like we were never trying to win anything. Our administration never had any buy-in for us to win anything, nor will they ever.
What are you talking about? There were some bad teams, but there were still new players coming in every year.
The coach.
They were
I'm not
still
talking about the coaching
recruiting.
staff. I'm talking about the president. I'm talking about the athletic director Thor, who was trying to, but you could tell that there was with the amount of scraps that we were getting handed. I have the perspective to understand that bad teams. There's too many football teams. That's something that nobody wants to say. There's too many fucking football teams. We have too many.
Yeah, man. We should have more people not playing football and starting podcasts. That's Tim Dillon called it. He called it. We should all just be in our basements podcasting our views out. We shouldn't have people playing football.
He said that exactly, or
No,
was it
no,
was a variation of that?
You know, he said.
I'm not saying that we
should
need
all be-
less people playing football,
Well,
but
that's
not
what
everybody.
happens.
Not
But
everybody
that's what
needs to be on the
happens.
same competitive playing field.
They're not already. There's 3 levels right now, with one generating 90% of relevancy, the other generating the other 9.
But this is what sparked the Premier League to change the way that it did, and why I understand why all these premier programs would feel disenfranchised. And there are some athletic directors that have actually liked this plan. There has been, for with the Premier League, they were disenfranchised by the fact that they were the ones generating all of the revenue, all of the attention, everything, yet they were expected to carry all the water for all of those people that didn't care. I mean, it's a capitalistic environment here.
Yeah, I got you. But it's also incredibly different than soccer, who carries, I think, 15 players on game day compared to college football that carries 85 to 120. It's a little bit different.
Well, I would argue, if anything, that furthers my point that there's too many freaking football teams out there. There's not enough kids that are playing the sport to make it onto all these teams. You think this is a good football game? 33-6 right now on a Wednesday night? Yeah, the TV overlords, man, they're so selfish that they had to have this on a Wednesday night.
Then why are you watching it? Why don't you have Family Guy on? Why do you have it on if you hate it so much?
I just put. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
You think Jacksonville State, New Mexico?
They don't go away.
If you
they
think
don't go. They don't just disappear just because that something like this happens. A 70-team league happens.
They disappear when in 10 years they find that they have, over those cumulative 10 years, $20 million that they didn't have because they can't play the FBS teams. That's when they go away because of sunken cost. Because you have to fly 90 people from New Mexico to Albuquerque. Or not Albuquerque. Whatever else in the Mountain West. Stupid Fresno. I think you're going to listen back to this and you're going to be a little bit shocked at how you sound.
No, I have my own. You're acting like I don't have control over my own thoughts.
No. I think you know what you're saying.
Yeah,
but
I do know what I'm saying.
You don't know how it's sounding.
If I sound coarse in my thoughts here, like, God forbid that I would like or I'm not opposed to changes to the sport to making it better. I think what has allowed for the sport to get as chaotic as it has is that when options to make improvements and changes to the sport have been rubbed off as what we have going right now is fine. When fine is not better, it's not the best. The aspiration should always to be in anything that happens in life is to get to the best.
The aspiration for college football is to have guys being able to play college football. That's the aspiration.
They are still going to be able to play college football. This team doesn't disappear. It doesn't.
They will.
FCS programs
do you think on Wednesday night you're going to be watching Clemson, Florida State?
You're not.
Do you think that's going to be filling the void?
FCS
no,
programs
of course not.
Have tiny budgets compared to the G5 teams, and they operate and survive completely fine.
Because they get paid every year in large sums.
The Pioneer League. What do you mean they get paid in large sums? What are you talking
against FBS teams? Millions of dollars directly going to flight cost, hotel cost. How does
Marist place against San Diego? How are they able to sustain flying cross country?
You can't throw the Pioneer League in my face.
You can't.
You can't.
It's the perfect example.
Pioneer League.
You know what?
Is a crazy.
Sean, you know what? No, that is the perfect example of what FCS and G5 eventually becomes. That can still be playable. That those kids can still get on the field that love the sport and can still play. I'm not saying just fuck them and kill everything off. I'm just saying that there needs to be a separation point between the two things. They're a non-scholarship league for a bunch of schools that have limited investment in what happens with the team, and they're forcing them to travel cross-country to play a barnyard-ass schedule.
Yeah,
they were
that's
flying
already
kids
a non-scholarship
from Jacksonville to San Diego to play games.
That's already a non-scholarship league. What happens if a son can't do scholarships? Then you got thousands of dudes that just don't get to go to college and play football, or don't even get to go to college in general.
We're talking about $1 million out of their budget that gets removed that they get paid for these games. Like,
it adds up.
Hire one less athletic department administrator.
How many did we have at Rhode Island? 4? They go down to 3. That's when people start atrophying. When they're overworked, it doesn't work that way, pal.
Unimportant job. All right, let's get to Hell Yeah of the Week on a more positive note, and then we'll get out of here. This is our Hell Yeah of the Week.
This is the Hack City Hell Yeah of the Week. Cue the lasers.
My Hell Yeah of the Week.
The Hack City Hell Yeah of the Week.
This dumb
Cue the
loop
lasers.
function. Pause it! God damn it! Who thought it was a good idea to put a loop function in on a soundboard?
It's for a bed, for an underlying.
I don't want to
bed.
hear it. I don't want to hear it.
It's background.
It shouldn't
music.
be
That's
default.
why there's a loop.
It shouldn't be the default setting. My Hell Yeah of the Week. If you didn't know this, there is a new team in the NHL, the Utah Hockey Club. AJ Perez of Front Office Sports tweeted, beer sales during the Utah Hockey Club's inaugural game last night totaled $120,000. See, that's how these college teams can make more money, just jack up the beer prices. The most sold for an NBA or NHL contest held at the Delta Center. The Jazz have been playing there since 1991. So they're kicking the shit out of the Jazz. I'm already liking this fan base. It seems to have attracted the most chaotic people. I mean, like, there's videos of people throwing their hats and stuff on the celebration cam. This is what I want. I think that the NHL needs more energy like this.
Look, the smartest move an NHL team could have made is to have to have the beer ready and available for fans and to encourage them to drink and get rowdy. In Utah, which if you look up the drinking statistics across the nation, I think Utah is like the 50th out of 50th with drinkers because of the predominant religion in the area. But those that don't follow that, I think they like to drink. And having this go down, I dig it. I like seeing the commerce come from alcohol and hockey. I like fighting in hockey. I like drinking a beer at a hockey game. I like getting drunk in DC, watching the Caps go to the playoffs and get tore up and spit out. It's a good scene here, Joe. I don't mind this. This is a hell yeah.
What do you got?
My hell yeah of the week. Pissing your pants on the first play of a game in the NFL. Marshawn Lynch went on the Get Got pod and discussed during his time with the Raiders offensive.
Whose show is that?
It's the Get Got pod. He discussed that on his time with the Raiders, offensive lineman Robert Gallery on the first play of every game.
It's quite literally Marshawn's podcast.
Oh God, Jesus, get better cameras, Marshawn.
Oh, why does it?
Cameras and mic, I think, could have been a little bit better. Regardless, he explained that Robert Gallery, offensive lineman, every game would walk up and piss his pants in front of the defense as a matter of intimidation. I love it. I know Channing Crowder has been vocal about how he peed his pants in every single game. It didn't seem for intimidation. I think he just liked getting in the rhythm, getting the pee on him. Gallery was noted on the podcast. He looked like Undertaker, and you could see him pissing his pants on the first snap, and the defense definitely responded to it.
My only problem with this is he wasn't very good.
Look,
that's the only thing.
I don't think
so. Buddy's just getting pissed everywhere, and then just playing bad football. You can't be that guy.
I would say that Robert Gallery made himself a very not good football player into a not good football player due to the piss. He kept himself on the team and on the field and decided this is the message I'm going to set, whether you like it or not.
He's just piss boy. Buddy's piss boy. He's not playing good football.
He's piss man. You look at Robert Gallery and you tell me you're going to call him piss boy.
If Zach Martin did, or I'm trying to think who would you say is Richie Incognito, who's like the meanest offensive lineman in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
If he showed up pissed all over the place and then rubbing piss on people, I'd be frightened for my life.
Look up a picture of Robert Gallery.
I know what Robert Gallery
looks like the Undertaker.
I know Robert Gallery was bad when he played. I know that he was one of the biggest draft busts, in recent memory. He was supposed to be the savior along the offensive line, and he wasn't.
I'll say this. I think if Lane Johnson started pissing himself on the first drive of every play, maybe more offensive linemen follow. Because you need a guy that really has that kind of influence to start this trend.
All right, let's get to Get After the Week. Self-explanatory.
Get help?
I broke my knee, man.
No. Get effed.
Ice up, son.
It's the Hack City Get Effed of the Week.
We need an animation for that. My Get After the Week. So there was a bit of a discourse over the weekend, and it on Twitter, very broad discourse, and it sparked one of my larger gripes with society as a whole. Someone had tweeted out, there were a lot of quote tweets with this. There's this guy that's on a bike that's sitting in front of somebody in like a normal road lane. He's not in the bike lane. He's in front of someone's car. Trapper Hackett on Twitter tweets, the urge to do a power brake burnout while the old foot slips off the brake pedal was almost too much. You'd hate cyclists. You don't hate cyclists enough. Implying he's probably going to hit the guy on the bike. I'm obsessed with this meme that was created that, there's Goober on the bike with his helmet saying, I like riding my bike. And then this is me in my car. I fucking hate you and I hope you die. That is my existence, especially the amount of people that ride bikes through Hoboken. This person, Jabe Atrophis, summed it up perfectly. It's truly incredible how much you people are oblivious to how gleefully you inconvenience others. And this is one of my biggest just general things in life, the people when you're in line to order food and you're in a hurry, you're just like, I really need to quickly get my food, and they take 15 minutes to order. Ordering doesn't take 15 minutes. You were in line the whole time. You should know what you want to eat. If you're riding your fucking bike and you're in front of cars and you're not out of the way, get out of the way. You shouldn't expect people to just move over for you and slow down. You're not a car. You're not a pedestrian. You assholes ride on the sidewalk too. You almost run me over all the time. Fuck people who ride bikes. That's my get effed, because I think that there is a little bit of a look into the selfishness that some of them have.
Here, it's very selfish in a very urban environment. If you want to be in the Pacific Northwest, like Bill Walton, riding your bike everywhere, getting your 12 miles, getting a leg churn.
Yeah, go do it on
that.
a trail.
Go do it. Find the trail.
Yeah.
I think riding a bike, personally, is fun. Bikes are
You
fun.
fit on bikes?
You get to go fast. You get to hit
You
the
have to get a
brake.
special size
You
one?
can. No, I'm doing okay on the bike. I don't know if
Like a bear on a unicycle.
I rode the same bike from like 7th grade to well into college. So I think it held up okay. But you can't do it in heavily populated city areas because that makes you, one, a danger, and two, an attention whore. And that's what you want to be. You like the vision of you being the cycling guy, the bike guy. You can't do that in New York, urban New Jersey. Go do it in nature. Not here where you're just being seen and you're stopping at oh my God. Joe, would you say it's effective to get a nice pump in on a bike if you're stopping at every third red light? No. You just want to be seen riding a bike.
It's not even that fast. It's not even that much faster.
You're constantly just starting and stopping.
Wait, okay, but here's the other thing too. This city, and also New York City, has 1 million bike lanes. The amount of people who ride bikes that don't use the bike lanes is insane. If you're riding the bike and you are understanding that you are in inconvenience to everybody where you are, and you know to avoid certain areas, I'm fine with it. But if you're the a-hole that's like, I'm on my bike and I'm enjoying my bike and everybody needs to know that they need to be aware of where I am at all times because I am the most important person in the city at the current moment. Fuck those people.
You know, when I was in Amsterdam, there was plenty of times I was walking in the street, very drunk, middle of the street, just a mess with my friends. It's Amsterdam. It's kind of a prerequisite. You should never go. You couldn't handle it. But but Amsterdam also has, I think, the largest per populace biking population. So everyone there has a bike and everyone cycles everywhere, but they've got their own roads. They've got their own infrastructure. They've got specific lanes and routes for the bikes. You're not walking in the street with your pals doing some sightseeing and getting rolled up on by some jerk off on a bike. They've got their own spot and they use it and they know how to maneuver. That is a city that is built for people that want to bike. New York City, DC, New Jersey, no, it can't happen. Philadelphia, I'll throw them in. Can't go bike. Atlanta, you can't bike in Atlanta. You can't bike on the East Coast. Do it in the middle of the country or on the West Coast.
There's a lot of questions on what you were getting after in Amsterdam.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Amsterdam was a good time. It's one of my top 2 return countries, I think. Yeah, I don't need to go back to Germany. Italy, maybe in the 40s. But yeah, Amsterdam would be a fun get back to.
All right, your get after.
My get after the week, Equanimous St. Brown on the St. Brown podcast. More NFL players and more podcasts.
Bad podcast.
Bring them all to me. I'm ready. If you're an NFL player with a podcast, send them on over. Cole Kmet, Trayvon Diggs, and Micah Parsons doing an interview. That's great. You guys don't have any structural issues with your team at all. That's a smart plan. But it was clipped from the show. Equanimous sounding off on the city of Detroit. They put this out on their own Twitter. If people could choose to live anywhere in the world or the country, they would not choose Detroit.
It's true.
Well, the city of Detroit on Twitter had a little response. Man, we know it's hard when baby bro is outshining you. That's also true. But you don't have to take it out on us, Equanimous. Our population has actually grown for the first time in more than 6 decades. I'd attribute that to the Lions. Detroit now ranks the 26th most populous city in America. Equanimous, at Equanimous, great handle, by the way.
Yeah, no one else had that, by the way.
He responds, hopefully next year you'll crack top 25. The city of Detroit responds, hopefully next year you don't have to move to another city. Given that Equanimous St. Brown has been on, I think, 3 different teams in 3 different years. It could be 4 and 3. Regardless, get dunked on, Equanimous.
Yeah, you
City of
can't
Detroit
be-
standing up, 10 toes down.
You can't be talking all that S. Former Notre Dame player Equimini St. Brown. Come on, man. You can't be talking S on a city when you're. What are we doing, man?
When your brother is the star of that city,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't crack the starting 5 wide receivers
Yeah.
on that team, maybe don't dog that seat.
I don't even know what
and
team he's on. I actually genuinely
I
don't
think
know.
the last team I recall was the Saints.
Mm.
Let me see. If he's just got LA in his bio. Why wouldn't he?
He might be unemployed at the current moment.
Yeah. Doing a podcast. Unemployed athlete doing a podcast.
All right.
Give me more of them.
We're going to be back on Friday, 11 a.m. this Friday. We have a meeting at noon, very important business meeting. We will not be able to go at noon. So 11 a.m., hack bag. We're going to pick Halloween costumes for each other. That's going to be fun. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod. Call into the hack bag hotline, 201-834-4308. Talk to you folks later. Enjoy the rest of your night.